Half a Day Flosstube.
I'm Little One.
And I'm Lynette here at Homesteading on the Homefront. It is Saturday, September 29th, 2018, and we had a free moment, and I looked at Little One and I said, hey, we should do a floss tube. And she said, yes, we should. So we gathered all our stuff together quickly. We didn't even change into our matchy-matchy outfits because that would have taken time to find them. So here we are in all of our Saturday glory. So some FFOs to show you today, some whips and some stash enhancements. We've got it all. So welcome if you are new to our channel. Thanks for finding us. We hope you enjoy our visit. If you are a returning watcher, thank you so much. It's been probably, I don't know, 3 weeks since my last video. So
even longer since they've seen me.
Yes, it's been a long time. Our Flosstube anniversary is coming up. October 4th will be 1 year. So I can't believe that. We also surpassed 2,000 subscribers. So there's going to be a giveaway at some point for those two things, but probably not while our life is still chaos and living out of boxes. Most of our stuff is still in storage. So I know you will forgive us if I procrastinate on the giveaway until life gets a little bit calmer. So, all right, can I fix this? We're a little crooked here. I don't know if that made any difference. Now I can barely see ourselves in the reflection, but that's all right. Okay, so first up, we have to say a very special thank you to Helen D., East Coast Crafter in Maine. She sent us some adorable needle minders that are perfect for my fall project that I'm going to talk about later on. There's one for eldest and one for me, and somebody violated the rules and already has hers on her project. So, thank you, Helen. That was very sweet. We hope we get to see you soon. FFOs, you want to talk about your fair winnings?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one you've seen as an FO, and we finally framed it. It's the watermelon with the bird. This one won first place. Not disappointed.
That was a little house? Is that a little house or a country cottage?
I think it's
one of them.
Little house. And then this one, which you have seen FFO'd before. This one got Judge's Choice.
So that was a nice fancy ribbon.
Yeah.
Oop. I meant to pull it down. So in the kids department of the fair, they are only allowed to enter one entry per class. So the watermelon project went into the cross stitch category, and then the angels went into the Christmas ornament category. So that's why she could only enter 2 things. A couple more years and you'll be in the adults and you can enter up to 12. Okay, so my FFOs, I have 2 of them. The first one is 'Tis the Season. And I'm going to say that most of my finishing stuff is still in storage. I didn't bring a lot with me. I have been able to buy a few things. And so when you see this FFO, it's tied together with floss because I don't have my glue gun with me. So it may even fall apart, but you'll get the gist of it. So and my magnet fell off too, so I'm just gonna have to hold it together. But this is my 'Tis the Season. As you can see, I modified the design a little bit. There's supposed to be some more leaves and it's supposed to be longer. But I knew when I started this, I had a frame that was going to fit it, but the frame wasn't as long as the project was. So I knew I was going to have to modify it. And then I decided that I wanted to use this basket. This basket I got at Hobby Lobby, 75% off. I think it was like $2.50 it cost me. So I ended up just not framing it and using it in here. And as you can see, right, it's not permanently mounted. It will be, it will have magnets so that I can change things out and use this all year round. The top is just swags that I found at Hobby Lobby. This cardinal ornament also came from Hobby Lobby. I'm really thrilled with how this came out. I can't wait to have a house to hang it up in. And it's been a great sale. People are still working on it on the Facebook group site. So if you haven't started yet or you want to get started, feel free to join in. You have not missed the fun at all. There's talk about doing more sales from that book. So I think at some point in 2019, I may change the name of the Facebook group from 'Tis the Season to Home for the Holidays, and then we can all just stitch whatever we want from that book together and see what everyone's doing. Okay, my second FFO was a complete shock. I was at the thrift store and I found, you'll see it, but it had a mirror in it, and I thought maybe that it would be really good for the Hello Winter that I want to do, the Plum Street project. And so I took a chance and I bought this mirror thinking it would be okay for that. And I got it home and did the math and found that it was going to be, the mirror was too long. So I set it aside and I said, oh, I'll find something else to put in it, no big deal. Well, then I happened to be leafing through my pile of finished stitches, but not FFO'd. And I found a project from 2013 and I said, oh, this might fit. And so I did the math and yes, perfect fit. I am so thrilled with this. So without further ado, here we go. This is, I think it's called Simple Life or Pleasures of a Simple Life. I believe it's a Chessie and Me. As you can see, 2014. I thought it was 2013. So 2014, I stitched this. It's on Ada because I had just finished another Chessie and Me project on linen and it did me in. So I did this one on Ada. I regret doing it on Ada. I wish I had done it on linen, especially because these words are all over one and that was not fun. I significantly changed the piece. Instead of beehives and chickens, there were sheep, but I'm all about the chickens and the bees. And so I think I might have showed this very early on in my Flosstube videos, but if I didn't, these are our chickens. We had Wendy, who is a, oh shoot, what kind of a chicken was she? It's escaping me.
Wyandotte?
Yeah, she was a Colombian Wyandotte, and they were named because they made their debut at the Colombian Fair. And so we named her Wendy after the Windy City. This was our Blue Wheaton Americana. Her name was Extra Crispy because my husband named her. This was Scarlet. She is a Rhode Island Red. And then this was Clarabelle. We called her CB. She was also a Silver Lace Wyandotte. And then, who was this? The lavender. I forget the name of this one.
That one was Rosie.
This one was Rosie. This is the lavender Orpington. And then this was the original CB that turned out to be a rooster, so we had to get rid of him. So anyway, those are our chickens and the beehives. And as you can see, it's got the hangers here, and the mirror was here, and I just love the way this came out. This has been unframed since 2014 because it was such an odd size. And so it was because of this piece and the one that I finished right before it that I decided I would never again cross-stitch a piece without knowing what I was going to do with it. If it's a small, no big deal, doesn't matter what size pillows it is. But if it was a large piece that I was going to frame, then I was not going to start it until I had a frame to fit it. So I will talk more about that later on in the video because I've had some questions about how I change my projects to fit the frames. So we'll get into that, but I'm thrilled that that piece finally is FFO'd. Okay, so as far as whips go, I mentioned we kind of threw our stuff together and I didn't bring my whips with me. But suffice it to say that I finished 'Tis the Season a couple weeks ago. Maybe not even a couple weeks, probably a week ago, and I've just been working on His Eyes on the Sparrow. October 1st, I'm going to start a new fall piece, which I will show you in a minute, but I'm just going to stitch on His Eyes on the Sparrow until then. I do have another project that's my to-go project, but that's out in the car, so you're not going to be able to see that either. So, little one, what are you working on?
I am still working on the reading sample, Hadley.
Does that help?
I've been working on the border. I finished the green part, working on the pomegranate flower things. And these are my 2 new needle minders since we've last seen each other. The top one is from Helen D, and the bottom one Mom got me for my birthday.
That was, the watermelon was a pin I found at the thrift store, so I converted that into a needle minder. Okay, so that's it for stitching, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will just go ahead and talk about how I adjust my pieces for frames. And I'm gonna kind of do a real life example here, because also at the thrift store I found 2 frames the other day. This one, and it's not really, there's nothing special about it. I liked that it does have a little detail down here. It's a Home Interiors, because there's a sticker right here. But it was an odd size. I knew this was not a frame that I could just run to Hobby Lobby or Michael's to pick up. So I paid $4.99 for it, which is more than I usually pay, but I took a chance. So that was one frame that I came home with. And then this frame is another, and I don't know, it goes this way. This was also a Save the Stitch, as you can see, because it's a needlepoint. Somebody did beautiful work. I paid $6.99 for this one, but again, I measured it. I always keep a tape measure in my purse, so that's a tip for you. If you're looking at thrift stores for frames, keep a tape measure in there. I usually don't buy 16 by 20s or 8 by 10s or 10 by 13s unless I need it, because I know they're a dime a dozen. I can find them anywhere. But the ones that are odd sizes, I will pick up. And I liked this one because it was very detailed and I knew it had some age to it. So I came home with those, and I thought maybe they would be good for a couple of pieces that I had in my stash that I really want to work on. So my first process is finding pieces that might work. So for instance, this long skinny frame. I went through my stash and I found some projects that were tall and skinny, and obviously had some size to them. For example, the hen peck and goat stack or goat load, those are tall and skinny, but they're not nearly this big. So I knew my hen peck wouldn't work. So I did find Autumn's Fruitful Labor, and you can see how it's tall and skinny. So my first step was to do some math. We're told in the back of the piece that it is 137 stitches wide by 220 stitches high. Now, if I was going to do it on the called for 36 count or 18 count Aida, because it's the same size stitches, it would be 7.5 by 12.5. We're told that. But 7.5 by 12.5 wouldn't have fit this frame. And so I wanted to figure out what size it would be if I chose other sizes. And so that was my first step, was doing the math and figuring out the dimensions on 28 count, which is the same as 14 count Aida. I do 30 count, which is 15 stitches per inch, 32 count, 35 count, and 36 count. I do the math on all of them. And I did the math and found out that if I worked on 14 count Aida or 28 count linen, the width of the piece would be 9.5 inches. Well, that made me really, really happy because this frame is 10.5 inches wide. So on 28 count linen, I would have 1/2 inch margin on either side width-wise, and it would fit perfectly. So then I had to worry about the height. So this height is 15.5 inches. And I did the math, and on 28 count Aida, this project would actually be 16 inches. So not only is it 1/2 inch too high, I wouldn't have a border around the piece on the bottom and top. So that told me that in order to have an equal border all the way around the project, I needed to get rid of 1.5 inches worth of stitches. Now 1.5 inches on 28 count linen or 14 count Aida is 14 plus 7, 1 inch plus 1/2 inch, 7 inches. So I knew I had to get rid of 21 inches worth of height here.
You mean stitches?
Yes, 21 inches worth of stitches in order to make my piece fit perfectly into this frame. And so I looked at it, and the first thing that jumped out at me was, well, I really don't need this row right here of sunflowers and birds. Like, I don't know, can you see this? Like, it's not really going to take anything away from the piece. We still have the row down here. And so I counted up however many it was, and lo and behold, it was, I don't know, 20, 22, something like that if I took this row out. And so bingo, there's my project. I'm going to stitch it as is. I'm not going to have this row of sunflowers, and it's going to fit perfectly into that frame. So that one was, as far as resizing goes, this was really easy. Like, there was no thinking involved other than just take the row out, no problem. Usually it's a little more tricky. And actually, I can talk to you about a little more tricky. So this frame, again, I did the math. And originally, I thought I was going to use it for, where is it? Did I bring it out here? Yes, it's right here. Originally, I thought I was going to use this frame for Never Let You Go. The stitch count is 201 by 228, and I'd have to do some tweaking. Let me take it out of the package for you. And so I thought about how to tweak it. Again, I forget what size I was going to have to do it on, but width-wise, it would have fit fine, which is great because it's much easier to change the height of a piece than it is to change the width. So I got frustrated. I couldn't figure out exactly how I was going to make it work, and I put it aside. And then I said, wait a minute. I wonder if that piece would work for the Heritage Sampler. And lo and behold, I did the math, and it's like the perfect size. So now I can either stitch the Heritage Sampler, or I can stitch Heartstring Samplery and put it in that frame. But immediately I knew I was going to do the Heritage Sampler. And the reason is that this one is not at all easy to change the height of, because it has kind of a non-traditional border. It doesn't repeat itself. This border, not a problem, right? Because it's just triangles. So it'll be much easier for me to change this sampler if I need to than it will be to change this sampler. So since I have a frame that's going to fit this one perfectly, this one is getting stitched also on 28 count linen. Now, 28 count is my favorite. It's been a long, long time since I've stitched anything on 28 count. In fact, I actually had to order linen. I have a lot of linen in my stash, but I didn't have any 28 count pieces big enough for autumn. I did find one piece for this one. So that's my thinking as far as those 2 projects go and those 2 frames that I found from the thrift store. Now, do I always get so lucky and come home with frames from the thrift store that fit exactly pieces in my stash? No. I have a lot of frames that are just waiting. But again, they're frames that are non-traditional sizes. They're frames that they're pretty. I like the molding that was used on them. And someday I will find a perfect piece for them. All right, if you have any questions, I will talk more in the future about how I resize pieces because I've gotten a lot of interest about that, and it's something I do fairly often. So I'm going to try to remember to make a point of it whenever I start a new project. I will tell you my thought process around that. Another whip that I wanted to show, not a whip, a stash enhancement. This one is completely, absolutely, completely Yvonne's fault. Because she showed, in a few videos ago, she showed the Prairie Schooler Farmers Market pieces, and she made them into smalls, and they were absolutely beautiful. And I have been searching on eBay for the Farmers Market piece, and I can't find it. Like, it's not that it's on eBay for outrageous amounts of money. No, it's just not on there. So I found this one. It's an original. It's in really great condition. It's on the thick cardboard. I can feel that the price tag down here is real and not a copy. But these were very similar, and I thought they would be good for the holidays. And so I am going to hopefully do some of these until I can get my hands on Farmers Market. So thank you for the enabling. Okay, what else have we got? Is that it?
I think so.
I can't even see how long it's been. There's a glare on the camera. Oh, 22 minutes, so we're doing okay.
Yeah.
I will show, since we have time. So you know we're going to StitchCon. Very excited about that. I have been looking at the thrift store for interesting little things that I can make into needle minders, you know, to give away or trade or whatever. And so I found a couple. In fact, the one I really wanted to show you isn't even here. But this first one is a butterfly. Isn't that pretty? Mm-hmm. This was a pin, and so all I did was I added the magnet here. And then this one I really liked. This is a Leah Sophia. It's not a pin, it's like a pendant. And so I added the magnet, and it's a lovely needle minder. Now I lost the magnet.
Right there.
Oh, okay. So I've been doing that, getting ready for StitchCon because we're so excited. Cannot wait for that. Hope to meet a lot of you there as well. Mm-hmm. October 12th is the grand opening at Bush Mountain Stitchery. It's the 12th and the 13th. I will be there on the 12th. That's a Friday. So if you are anywhere in the Massachusetts, Southern New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut area, I encourage you to come on out. I went to the store a few weeks ago. She's got a lot of stuff that not a lot of stores have. And it was so great to just be able to see floss in person. It's been years since I've been able to do that, so I was excited about that. So if you are going to be at the Bush Mountain grand opening on Friday, let me know. If you see me there, please say hello. I would love to meet you. I'm very excited to have an LNS and very excited to hook up with stitchers in the area.
I won't be there because I've got school.
Yes.
I've got a field trip that day, though.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, I'm sure we will see you soon. I am meeting up with another stitchy friend on Monday, and I know that you will hear more about that before too much time goes by. So until we meet again, I wish you I can't say it without thinking of Lori. Fair winds or fair winds and following seas.